Gentlemen, appreciate it. We are here in Tampa, day 4, SEC Media Days. All of our coverage brought to you by Culver's. Welcome to Delicious. I'm already thinking about the Culver's that I'm going to have in the great state of Wisconsin this weekend, where I will be. Lane Kiffin gave us some breaking news. We're all going to die.
Eventually, we're all going to die. What is this rock but a place to hold our husk of a body, Connor?
I did not realize that all people die until I watched the Hulk Hogan documentary on Netflix. And then it reminded me that death is imminent, and even Hulk Hogan can die. That's what Lane Kiffin said. That's not what I said, for what it's worth. Lane Kiffin, a lot of takeaways from him this morning at SEC Media Days. Again, we are here in Tampa. We have great guests coming up. George Somerville is going to join us in a little bit. And then a sort of redo of our JD PicKell interview after we had the power go out in the middle of him on Monday, which feels like a lifetime ago. But Lane Kiffin, 22 minutes for his opening statement. He got 4 questions. It's straight out of the Brian Harsin, Hugh Freeze playbook. Brett McMurphy had the stat. Mike Leach set the SEC Media Days record for fewest words with 6. And Lane Kiffin set the record for the longest opening statement at SEC Media Days with 2,807 words. I can't even count that high.
It was like a verbal representation of like when you're writing a paper and you don't want to do it. And you just keep talking. Like when he started talking Oklahoma baseball, I think that's when he kind of lost the room. But it's like to a degree I can kind of not respect it, but I see where he's going from. We were out last night and so many people had told me, oh, I'm going to ask Lane this question. I'm going to ask Lane that question. You could see kind of in the back of his mind going, I want as few of those opportunities as I can possibly see.
And credit Michael Bratton over here, who's able to fire off the question to Lane. It recited like all the NFL draft talent that he had at Ole Miss, and talked about Jackson Dart being a first-round quarterback. And, then basically, hey, why in the Vanity Fair piece did you say that, that there wasn't diversity in Oxford? Do you think that like if you had more diversity, you would have had more NFL draft talent? And, Lane, then that's when he went into the answer about Hulk Hogan and realizing that because of the death of his parents that everyone dies. And it was a very convoluted way of answering this question about basically, man, why'd you leave? And Lane's response to that was, one, an apology for the way that he phrased the Vanity Fair comments. He's apologized multiple times since then for his phrasing. But to hear him go down those roads was just another reminder of like, this guy truly does not know how to win the breakup. I don't think he's ever going to know.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And I mean, to quote the great philosopher of our times, Eugene Krabs from SpongeBob, money. That's the reason why he left Ole Miss.
Ole Miss would have paid him more.
Yeah, no, but just about resources and recruiting and all that. And it's one of those where at this point it would be better for him to just come out and say it, because he's tried to give every reason but the truth. And every time he gives a new reason, it's like we're getting more metaphysical with every explanation. And people are just tired of it.
If just different turned into the explanation, just different money.
Right.
We got a winner.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd be able to trademark that. That would probably be a little bit tough as a recruiting pitch sell, but nonetheless, Lane Kiffin was here to do something that felt very, very obvious, which was answer as few questions as humanly possible. I would have loved to have seen what it looked like if he could have gotten 20 questions. The only thing I had in the back of my pocket that was going to raise my hand to be able to ask, but realized very quickly on that we weren't going to get any of those with a 22-minute opening statement, was, why did you do Many Lives of Lane Kiffin? It's something I've thought about a lot, and I've wanted to ask, I've asked Ryan McGee about this, but like not since this has gone down, of why was your motivation then to showcase all of these unique elements of your life and your journey if you were just going to set yourself up for this? Because everybody that I've talked to is like, yeah, he had his mind made up. This was not a debate about where Lane Kiffin was going to be. It was simply, what does it look like? And how can he do this in the best possible way? We now have the Lane Kiffin rule being introduced about, not leaving a job that's for a team, when you have a team that's bound for the college football playoff and all these different things. But Will, as someone who roots for these Bayou Bengals, watching your head coach, that's right, your head coach, watching him up there today, how did you feel knowing that ultimately wins and losses are going to determine his future. But this is someone who has not exactly had the best 7 months.
Well, Connor, better than Brian Kelly is how I feel.
That's the
thing. Everybody on social media, how could you defend this guy? Oh my God, guys, we had to defend Brian Kelly for years. And Brian Kelly won the SEC West in year one, more than Ole Miss has in the history of the SEC West. So if I went through all of that, we can get through this. Because at the end of the day, I remember being at the lunch table in Hoover, Alabama, after LSU had just won a title, thinking, man, we got the best of this breakup. We got Les Miles. Oh, that Saban guy, he's washed. He's at the Dolphins. Yep. We're going to be just fine. And that lasted 0 days.
Yeah,
is how long that lasted. So it's not a move for right now. It's a move for in the future. And I will say, as far as the many lives of Lane Kiffin, I believe when that came out, Brian Kelly was still the head coach at LSU.
Yes, he was. Because it came out, was it September? I want to say it was like early September.
Yeah.
We're all gonna die is a much more Brian Kelly quote than it is Lane Kiffin.
It really is.
It's so like that. I do miss Brian Kelly a little bit. Just getting up here, first day of SEC Media Days, sticking his foot in his mouth, and we didn't necessarily get much of that from Lane Kiffin. We did get a revelation from the LSU coach. He's no longer on social media, allegedly. He totally doesn't have any burners.
Well, we knew he wasn't on social media because he was tweeting constantly. But it was about kind of the explanation again. Is this true? Who's to say? But he said it was his son Knox that kind of challenged him and said, you can't do that. Like basically said, you can't stay off social media. So he said, bet, I got you. To your point, I would bet anything. Yeah. He has a burner.
He has several burners.
Yeah.
And look, Twitter is the real one that he can't stay off of.
Yep.
And, that was the part that I rolled my eyes at when he's like, oh, you realize, comparison is the thief of joy. And, I see other people now after I do these 5 a.m. workout classes and they immediately go to their phones. And all of a sudden it's like, man, you realize that people are really, really addicted to that. And I don't want to hear that from Lane. I don't want to hear that from Lane ever. Like, let's not pretend that this guy is just now free of vices and he's living this totally clean life. He wants you to think that. He wants to win the breakup. He can talk about it until he's blue in the face. The breakup matters to him, okay? It just flat out does. That game on September 19th, he's going to say, it's just part of another game. We're not focused on, what our ceiling is in year one, but all of that is going to go out the window. And he is not going to see online criticism, allegedly, with any of his burner accounts. But he knows that he's going to be public enemy number one in college football, especially now that Brendan Sorsby isn't playing football.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, nobody liked that news more than Lane Kiffin. He was like, "Thank God, I could just go to a lake somewhere." No, but no, I'm with you. I mean, I'm more excited about this season than I have been in quite some time. And last season LSU had massive expectations, but it's about how flat the SEC is. It's about how it's wide open. It's about how flat I feel like all of college football is right now, where there's really no consensus to me dominant team, and the fact that LSU could be anywhere from right there to basura.
They are probably the agent of chaos, nationally speaking. I know I said Oklahoma is the agent of chaos within the SEC, but they are the agent of chaos in that anything that LSU does this year creates frenzied reactions. That's reality. That's what you signed up for when you took this job, when you tried to take all these people with you, when you said, if you're not on the plane, you're staying here. And a guy who did follow Lane Kiffin, TJ Doty. Lane bringing him here and not his quarterback, Sam Leavitt, who was running players run practice. That's why Sam Leavitt wasn't here.
Yeah.
Okay. $5 million quarterback. TJ Doty was here as a direct shot at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And you cannot convince me otherwise. I literally asked TJ Doty, did you expect to be here? He's like, no, I definitely didn't. Yeah. Because usually guys who show up after being very late transfers in the portal cycle, who Mole and him and Hall over this decision, those guys don't show up and then immediately get put into a role like this, even in this era of college football.
I wonder how many classes he's been to at LSU, like how many times he's physically been around, the time he's spent on campus. Because yeah, it's always, and that's the stuff that I do look forward to with Lane Kiffin when the noise dies down, is him getting recruits to change their Avies to other teams and like doing the little stuff like that. Because that's an apex troll move, right?
It was. There's no doubt in my mind it was. You could have found so many different guys who have been with the program who would have made more sense to be able to do that. Even DJ Pickett, a guy who's getting, I think, preseason All-America love at this point, is a guy that is very much becoming a household name in college football. Like, you could have brought even Jordan Seaton or something like that, a very high-priced left tackle that you got from Colorado that Lane brought up. He's the first offensive lineman ever to get a Nike contract. There were plenty of different guys that he could have brought. And instead, he's like, nah, I got to bring an Ole Miss transfer.
Yep.
Got to make sure that I bring at least one. And Lane wants to win the breakup. So that feeds right into what we did not get to discuss yesterday because this was happening right after we recorded day 3. Ole Miss, Pete Golding. You knew he was going to be blunt. You knew that he was going to probably have to address a couple of things related to Lane Kiffin, and buddy, did he. He talked about the breakup, kind of understands those dynamics there, and talked about like having an ex. And of course, that makes a lot of sense. We got news from David Hale, who, friend of the show, a David Hale joint on Twitter, on X. Don't tell Lane Kiffin that. He won't know where to find that. But the pitch that Pete Golding gave Ole Miss players was pretty good. Did you hear it? So the pitch that Pete Golding gave Ole Miss players, and Trinidad and Kewan Lacey, like staying with Ole Miss, said, like, so Pete Golding gave this message of, look at Lane Kiffin. Google him right now. They were going to build a statue of this guy in 3 years. And now, if he were on fire, nobody would piss on him to put it out. It's a pretty good pitch.
It's really good.
A really good pitch. And I think it works. And it's something that we talk about. And Will, you've asked this question to multiple players since we've been here. Legacy matters, right?
Yep.
What do you want your legacy to be? And I think for Trinidad and Kewan, like, two guys who a lot of LSU fans, like yourself, probably were like, well, that'd be great. That'd be great if they found on board. I think they really took that message to heart, like asking Kewan Lacey, what's your Matt Moscona asked Kewan Lacey, what's your relationship like with Lane Kiffin? And he's like, he was my old coach last year. What was your relationship like with Charlie West Jr.? He was my old offensive coordinator last year. Buddy, people want us to stop talking about LSU Ole Miss. Sorry, not happening.
Yeah, I think they're intentionally building into it with the schedule, right? Because, I mean, Pete directly said, like, basically, we're friends or we're cool. We don't have any beef. And if we had just gotten a handshake between them on stage, it would have just, all the clicks would have gone down. But I think at this point, they're just building to this massive volcano in Oxford that I'm going to be at. And it's going to be a fun time, Connor.
How about this nugget from Pete Thamel that we got earlier about how Pete Golding bought Lane Kiffin's house?
This is getting weird. Okay.
So it gets weirder. And Pete Golding immediately like moves in and stuff like that. And they've still got some of the old stuff that's set up in the house. And so Lane's staff at LSU was speculating about whether or not Pete Golding was out recruiting a specific player. And Lane's like, I've got the Ring camera. I could see he just walked into my house.
This espionage. This is great. This is great.
This is the type of college football that I want to exist all the time. And for those saying, you know what, SEC Media Days, it's lost its fastball.
No, not even close.
Those are the bits that we need. I love it. I absolutely love it. Pete Golding was great, by the way. All these moments in which he talked about, you know, the transfer portal, the tampering accusations that came from Clemson, and how, you know, ADs and, you know, and coaches are allowed to have this movement. Like, let's not pretend like this sport has been morally good for the last 100 years.
That's so true.
And he's right. And I think people look at Pete Golding right now and go, all right, this guy's saying everything that you possibly can at this point. Yes, it's been very interesting seeing that dynamic. We have a very special guest who's sitting right there. George, come on over, man. We're live on air. George Somerville. For those who don't know George, who does great work for The Touchdown, George made the furthest trip of anybody. We got media members that are complaining about coming here from, I don't know, Alabama, coming here from Birmingham. It's a long trip. I realize George came here from Scotland.
I did.
And you're going to hear it in George's voice because nobody here has a better accent than George Somerville. George, it's good to see you, man. How you doing?
It's great to see you guys. Love coming across and seeing your happy, smiley faces, and it's great to be here. Tampa's just been an awesome venue, hasn't it?
So you are here on an annual basis now, and you've become such a staple that Greg Sankey shouts you out. I think he shouted you out the last 3 years, hasn't he?
I think he has. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like when you go to a wedding and you shout out the people who have come from far and wide, and you're like, oh my God, like this person from Maine came to my wedding. It's incredible. And it speaks to your dedication for covering all things college football. And you and your guy Ollie, you guys do such great work talking about this sport and writing about this sport in ways that, like we always say, oh, the European mind can't comprehend this. You legitimately do things that I don't know if the average American would comprehend with your coverage.
Yeah, I mean, well, once you understand college football, right? Because that's the hurdle. NFL is huge in Europe, so we understand the game. And people love the NFL. And I think I've explained to you guys before, we have a fascination with the draft also.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So what happens then is there's this logical flow of interest from the NFL into the draft. And then they say, well, what's this Alabama and LSU that you guys are talking about, right? And this part of the world is no stranger to getting Brits across on holiday or vacation, as you guys call it. And now we're starting to see people getting really interested in the college game. So we've been banging on about college game for 10 years now, and frankly, 10 years ago, no one was listening to us. But now we've got a very different audience because people are starting to get really inquisitive about it. And we have our first college football game. I mean, I'll say it quietly, but it's a Big 12 game at Wembley in September, right? And I guess I think they were quite keen for me to come across and bang that drum, but I was like, well.
Union Jack Classic. We've got Kansas, Arizona State facing off.
Yeah, I was going to say, know your audience, right? I try to bang on about a Big 12 game at an SEC conference isn't the best way of going about it, but yeah. So that shows you the level of interest, because if the interest wasn't growing, we wouldn't be having that game.
Amen.
So, George, one thing that struck me as I started to watch F1 more is the difference in the relationship between the media and sporting figures kind of overseas. What are the biggest differences that you see between kind of how the media treats athletes and coaches?
Well, this is a dangerous road to go down, right?
Okay.
But yeah, the press in general over that side of the pond is very intrusive. And I mean, I know you guys will probably say the same over here. So there can be something of an adversarial relationship between the media and the sports stars. What I love about you guys is, one, you open your arms up and you welcome everybody in, as the World Cup has just proven, but also you celebrate success, right? So when you've got a local kid from Baton Rouge who does really well, you celebrate that. Unfortunately, back home, we celebrate that for like 6 months, and then we find a reason. Rory McIlroy is a great example. We find a really good reason to knock him back down again.
They're haters. That's what I've noticed. I can kind of respect that, but that's what blew my mind. Is it's like
it's almost like you can just. I'm sure the phrase translates, but you can be too big for your boots, right?
Yeah.
And when you get too big for your boots, we're just going to put you in your place.
George, let me tell you, here we say too big for your britches.
Yeah, britches.
I like that.
Yep.
I think I'll take that one back home with me, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's and I think that's what you get. You have this level of intensity with the press and the media, and that goes across all the sports. But certainly you get to a point where it's like, right, okay, you've had your moment. Just calm down.
George, you've been on the front lines when we get an announcement that there's a college football game being played in Europe. You've seen it with the Dublin series and what they've done there. And I understand why a lot of Americans have a reaction that they do of, guys, we only get a certain amount of fall Saturdays at this specific venue, and we don't want to move it to a place that nobody can necessarily go to. My counterpoint is, have you talked to the people that have been like, yeah, I took the trip to Dublin and I went to one of these games that was going to be a neutral site game no matter what? Like, it could have been in Atlanta or in Dallas or something like that. Like, they already make the decision. It's going to be a neutral site game. They're going to split that paycheck. Let's do this overseas in a unique way. Have you talked to the people that have actually gone over there as fans, or like the Nebraska fans that drank that stadium dry? because you'll get a totally different reaction. How do you think we should be talking about that? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that. They look at it as like, oh, we're losing something that's sacred to us, when in reality, it's trying to do something much bigger.
You're absolutely right. It's about growing the game, right? And not to bang on about the Big 12, but they're clearly set out their agenda in that respect. They want to grow the brand, the conference globally. You're absolutely right. When you speak to the American fan who travels across to Dublin, they absolutely love it. It's such an occasion. I used to have season tickets for the NFL at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, but my tickets were in amongst visiting fans from the States, but mostly friends and family of the team. They loved it. They said this is their Super Bowl, right? Because you get the whole week leading up to the game. You get to go and see all the sites. You get to go and do all the stuff. There's parties, all that kind of stuff. The event in Dublin is awesome. I really hope London is as good. I've only been across once to cover it. Ollie goes all the time. It's just an amazing event. Dublin's a great city at the best of times. It's
I love Dublin.
One of these cities that just welcomes you. The Irish love people just visiting, and then they're bringing. And the whole point of the College Football Classic in Dublin is that it's the Irish Tours Board promoting Ireland for people to come across. So stick a game in there and people will come. Notre Dame being a really good example. When Notre Dame, they played a few times. The last time they played, they brought 45,000 fans with them. That's a lot of people to get into Dublin Airport, right? So, but I see the flip. To your point, Connor, I see the fact that something's been taken away from the fans over years. So there may be 45,000 fans who have travelled to Dublin. Notre Dame, there's millions of fans who are sitting at home going, well, why is this game kicking off at 11:30 Central Time? I do understand that. For me, it's the context, the wider context, particularly in the spirit of the kind of financial environment that we live within, right? Teams and schools need finance. They need revenues to drive the way in which this game is going. And they have to do that in every way possible. And if that means taking, I was speaking to some of the guys from Georgia the other night, and about the Georgia-Florida game going to Mercedes-Benz. I know it's always a neutral venue site, but if you're getting $5 million to play at that site, why would you not do it? Now, we all know, Kirby Smart doesn't like it, but we know the fans are maybe not the biggest fans of it. It's exactly the same argument for taking the game across the pond.
And think about it too. Like if you're a Washington fan, when Washington played at Mercedes-Benz, that's like a 6-7 hour flight from Washington all the way to Atlanta. The flight to Dublin, at least from like the East Coast, is 8 hours. So it's like we're not talking about something that's so drastically different if you look at it through that context. And I get why people feel the way that they do, and they don't want to be told you're doing something just because of the paycheck, and that's why a school is doing something. But like if you really kind of embrace some of the elements of this, I don't think it should be resisted in the same way that many people approach this, and I'm probably in the minority by saying
that. I'm speaking for people, but I don't know whether people think it's the floodgates. If we have one game, does it mean we have? If you listen to Brett Yormark, he's a bit like Roger Goodell. He watches as many games as he can overseas, right?
You listen to him; he'll say a lot of things.
He does.
That's the thing about him.
Yeah, he does say a lot of things. I'm in the right environment here. But the question is it going to be more than one game?
Right.
And is your there's 138 FBS teams? Is your team going to be impacted by this more than once in 3 or 4 years? The one thing I do know from speaking to the Union Jack Classic guys, there's a lot of interest from teams to get across to London. They're not having to, in the early days at the NFL, they really had to drag teams across.
Jacksonville, Tennessee, it was the usual suspects every.
But it was the whole. If you don't go across, you can't host the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that was a threat, right? And anything else, the draft and all that kind of stuff. So you had to check the mark in that box, so that you could go and do things that you really wanted to. And Dallas were a prime example of that. Dallas were dragged screaming and kicking to London. The Packers put it off. There was some NFL teams had been to London 3 or 4 times before the Packers even considered coming across. Right?
London doesn't need more Cowboys fans. They'll need more Packers fans. We got enough of those here.
So, universally, you don't have this kind of pile of teams who need to get across the pond. But I understand when speaking to the Union Jack Classic and they told me that there's an SEC team who wants to come across. They wouldn't tell me which one. But
let's speculate wildly on that.
Well, we do know, 2 years ago, I asked Brian Kelly, who's no longer in employment, if he would bring the Tigers across, and he'd been across with Notre Dame, and he was going to come across a second time when COVID hit, and that game got postponed, and then he'd moved on by that point. So it is possible, Elish, and that would be a huge name. I mean, that would blow Union Jack Classic out the water, right? I mean, playing at Wembley, they have to sell 86,000 tickets.
It's crazy.
It's the biggest stadium in the UK.
Yeah.
That just seems incredibly adventurous.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think that, I hope they're not listening, but I don't think Kansas and Arizona State are going to sell 86,000 tickets, right?
I haven't heard that it's got that type of juice.
So,
I've not heard that. Yeah.
But I tell you what, put LSU in that stadium and we've got a different conversation going on, right? Because I think you've got the LSU fans who I think will travel, right? Whoever they're playing, and I think there'd be a huge amount of interest because, back home, people know who LSU are.
So, talking about growing the game globally, I mean, I think you're right. I think you have to have the games in these stadiums and specifically in these time zones, right, to get the casual fan on board. And we've talked about on air several times how much of a grind it can be, not really for us, because we can watch 12, 13 hours of college football, but for our friends and families that know not to bother us. What does a college football Saturday look like for you? I mean, do you just completely rewire your brain?
Doesn't it? It changes like every year for you, depending on the cable stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have consistency of output just now. One of the cable channels was picked up last year, and that was awesome because ESPN stepped away from the UK. I still don't understand. Try to speak to people here, still don't really understand why they moved away. So we've got a channel called DAZN. I don't know if you guys,
yeah,
DAZN. So they give us, and they just get the feed from wherever they're getting it. So we can get a dozen games on a Saturday, right? It's pretty good. And they don't currently charge for it. We know they'll charge this year. So they've been trying to build a fan base. I think in many ways, I think it's starting to gel together in terms of people talking to each other about how we're going to grow this fan base over here. We know from speaking to the people who listen to the podcast and the college football community that this is what we want, this is what we need, and that's been really helpful. So to answer your question, I'll watch game day, which is 3 p.m. our time, I think, and then straight after that we'll get the first game.
It's so late.
So
late, man.
So we're gonna get 3 games. So you're gonna get your early kickoff, we're gonna get your prime time, and then going to get your late game. And you mentioned Ollie. I mean, Ollie's sitting watching Hawaii at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
He's a sicko.
So, and that's on the back of he's just watched Maction on the Wednesday night, right? That takes him through to 4 a.m. on a Thursday morning or whatever it is. So. But so that means that the NFL watching's out the window for me because by the time I get finished on a Saturday, I get whatever I'm doing, out of the way. Sunday's recovery day, but it's great fun, and you have to be careful to criticize this stuff because we want it. People have to watch it because if people don't watch it, they'll just switch it off. But thankfully, the fan base is growing.
But what time are you going to bed on a game day?
Well, I mean, if I'm watching your 8 p.m. game,
that's late.
I'm going to bed at 4:30.
Goodness,
this guy loves ball.
That's a lover of ball.
Well, that's why I come to the SEC Championship game and the National Championship game because I can watch it at my own time.
Yep.
Yeah,
the National Championship game will finish at like 6 a.m. in the morning.
Gosh, that's nuts. It takes a different type of dedication. It's probably one of the reasons why it's tougher to get into and why it feels like it has such a specific audience, much like the American audience that loves the Premier League and waking up on Saturday morning and being able to watch it. And there's a lot of similarities. We've seen that play out with the World Cup with SEC football and international soccer, at least at the highest level. When we're talking about like FIFA and all that. George, you've been to games in the United States. You've been to a handful of SEC games. Where are you going this year?
Well, that's a great question. So I'm currently, a number of people on this floor have been trying to work a schedule out for me, but my anchor game is Georgia, Florida, Mercedes-Benz in Halloween.
So that you haven't done Georgia, Florida, but Florida, Georgia. Florida fans are getting mad.
Whichever one loves you more, that's what you call it. It's Florida, Georgia, or Georgia, Florida.
Because you haven't done that in Jacksonville yet.
No, I have not. I have not. And I've always because it's a neutral site venue, and I know it's an exceptional game to just the environment's just something else. But because it's a neutral site, I love getting on a campus.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm trying to talk to the Arkansas people because I'm desperate to get to Fayetteville.
Yeah.
But I think there's nothing better than getting on it. Well, this is the whole point of college football, right? There's nothing better than getting on a campus.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't necessarily get attracted to the neutral site venue. But when I saw that it was at Mercedes-Benz, I thought there was a good chance that I can get a seat.
And a direct flight.
Everything comes together. So now what I need to do, Andy Staples was helping me the other day. I'm trying to work out the Saturday before, Saturday after, what games can I get to within traveling distance. And then that's how my schedule comes together.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. George, this has been really, really fun. Appreciate it. Can you let everyone know where they can follow your coverage, everything you're doing with Touchdown, and everything that you're doing with the College Chaps podcast?
Sure, thank you, and I appreciate your time. And as I said, it's great cutting across and seeing you guys face to face. So the Touchdown is the touchdown.co.uk, and that's a great site. Just really quickly, it's a cooperative of writers. It's designed for young writers to get the space to write and get published. We've got about 35 writers who contribute to that. College Chats podcast you can get on Apple, but also on YouTube. We'd love if you subscribed on YouTube because that's a difficult one for us. But the audio is really popular, so you can get that on Apple Podcasts.
Heck yeah, man.
George, you're the man. Appreciate it,
guys.
We'll talk really soon.
Great to see you.
Good seeing you again.
Absolutely.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
All right. That is George Somerville, the man, the absolute man. Love talking with George all the time. Getting to go on his show has been such a treat. It's one of those things I really look forward to. Oh, we got a selfie. Selfie. We're good. George is going to have to do the fun thing of asking this Paul Feinbaum cat if he can get out of the way, man. Just
his good friend Paul's right there. Yeah,
exactly. No, I do love talking to George, man, and I appreciate his perspective so much. And I think it's a good reminder. We've had a lot of reminders during the World Cup of like things that Americans do that maybe we take for granted on a daily basis. And we can say all these negative things about, oh, media day is this overblown thing and it's not what it once was and blah, blah, blah. And then I see a guy like George come in here and I'm reminded, like, it's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, that's a guy that loves ball. And like that just shows how much joy sport, as they say, can bring. And I was joking with him yesterday. I was like, look, football is our dessert in America for, all the grind of American life. This dude was able to get 4-6 weeks of holiday over there every year. He was able to just do this in his free time, like World Cup Freddie. So he was living the full life for a while there.
Really was.
Yeah.
Very much was. Okay. So we also had this morning, and by the way, we're recording this right before, I think 4 minutes ago, Jeff Lebby just took the stage in the main media area.
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi State players. I'm hopefully going to be able to spend some time over by Camario Taylor. And then we have Texas after. So that's why we're not going to be discussing them today. Maybe we'll have some takeaways coming up here. But I do think that Ryan Silverfield, despite the fact that he had zero, as some have pointed out, aura coming into this, he would push back on that. He did have a noteworthy thing that came from his press conference today in the main media area.
Mm-hmm.
This man 1000% took a shot at John Sumrall.
Yes, he did. He's grown on me today with all the aura comments. Brandon Marcello had a really good story on him where he was talking about, I got a hot wife, got great kids, I got an SEC job. Don't tell me I don't have aura. That's a quote for you right there.
That's a good quote, man. And look, we play the results with this. That's what we do. And speaking of those results, Jacob Davis does great work covering Arkansas for On SI. He asked Ryan Silverfield about how he feels about being last in these SEC coach rankings, or, oh, you're being picked to finish last in the conference, which, all right, you're taking over a program that's 2-10. We understand that. But the fact that all of those things are true while you have a 5-1 record against current coaches in the SEC. And that's the type of stat that when I hear it, I go, Connor, you idiot. How did you not have that in your back pocket? Shout out to Jacob.
Yeah, Connor.
Try that, right? So it then got the response from Ryan Silverfield of like, oh, can you repeat that? Like, he definitely heard him on the first time, but wanted him to repeat that just to make sure that the people in the back heard.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said,
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, yes, he did that. And then Ryan Silverfield then offered up the joke that he's not going to throw the podium at him.
Mm-hmm.
John Summerall yesterday told us, as a reporter's phone went off, it was actually a photographer's, I think his phone or his computer went off or something like that. He's like, oh, I get so angry when that happens. Like, when a guy does that in practice, like I want to kick him out. I want to throw the podium. And Ryan Silverfield took a direct shot at that. The irony is that what Ryan Silverfield said felt a lot more like an actual jab.
Mm-hmm.
And John Summerall, for those of us that were in that room, it 100% felt like he was joking. And then we saw the response to what John Summerall said from the outside. Everybody's like, this is like fake tough. This looks like kind of a loser. I promise you in that room, it was not received that way at all.
Yeah, and I think and listen, as a guy who, like a goober, just walked into Ryan Silverfield's press conference without realizing it was active and started tweeting, like, I get it, but there is a level of decorum you're supposed to have, and that ringer was very loud, and it went off for a considerable amount of time.
I think it was a song on the computer.
It was a song, like Connor, I will give you a concrete if you could tell me what that song was.
I heard it yesterday. Okay, you're
all the killers in the $100 bills.
Come on, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. You know this. I heard it yesterday from John Neighbors,
mm-hmm.
and I can't remember who or what it was. So you're going to have to tell me.
Shook Ones Part 2. Very iconic, very loud song that gets the people going. And so it was not a regular little phone go off. Like you couldn't hear it on the mics, obviously, because they have nice mics in there. But it did kind of interrupt the press conference. So he did that to break the ice. And it came more across as him being like, than like people be, John Summerall's just some like chud. He's just some jerk who like doesn't. And it's like, look, they got me on here defending Kalen DeBoer and John Summerall my first couple, but trust me, I have no reason to defend John Summerall.
Yeah, if you're upset about that, I don't know. I'm gonna need to see more evidence that John Summerall is doing some big tough guy thing. I think he's very authentic. And yeah, I did not have a problem with that whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And I was really surprised when I saw several people, like many of whom I respect, even like my guy Brad Crawford was criticizing it. I was like, I did not have that takeaway. And it's,
you big J Jarno him, and you'd be like, hey, Brad, you got to be here, dude.
Hey, Brad,
you got to be in the room. All right. That's why in-person press coverage matters.
Right. Brad loves being in SEC media.
Yeah, he really does.
That he's
Brad's our
guy. But yeah, it's a reminder though that a lot of people are gonna play narratives. They're gonna play into that, and it was also a reminder that it's not all good blood. There's bad blood.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Ryan Silverfield has a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't know that I really thought that coming into this. When you hear the record 5-1, that prompted me to go look it up. All right, what's his record against each one of these coaches? A stat that I admittedly should have known, and I knew that it was somewhat favorable just because Memphis has been a solid program in the American, maybe not reached the ceiling that they probably should have during this time in which their 4 best teams in the conference left. But the fact that he's 5-1 with a 3-0 mark against Alex Golesh,
mm-hmm.
a 1-1 mark against John Summerall, and oh, by the way, a 1-0 mark against Josh Heupel when he was at UCF, that bodes well on one hand. It doesn't all of a sudden give him juice, but it is one of those things where if they're good year one and he succeeds in those games, we'll look back and we'll go, wait a minute, why didn't we pay more attention to that?
Yeah, I was talking about this with you off air, and it's kind of interesting how we just slated these American Conference guys. We're like, boom, John Summerall, that's your prize. In the middle, we have Golesh, and then boom, Silverfields, he's the worst coach. And it's like, really, how do we know? There are plenty of coaches that if you go back through time, my example is like Les Miles at Oklahoma State would have never gotten higher in this day and age. And in the NFL, Nick Sirianni, everybody thought that guy was going to get fired in like a year or two. Now, granted, he did just discover ChatGPT, so he's not maybe he's not a great quote, but that being said, that's a Super Bowl champion coach. And so I think that we can get so committed to our ascribing of how these guys fall in that it can be a little bit scary or a little bit disingenuous.
Yeah, and I totally get that. And I do understand why Arkansas lacks that buzz. I mean, they lack that buzz because Alex Golesh and John Summerall inherited better situations. They just did.
Yep.
John Summerall walked into a situation where there were real pieces to be able to build around on both sides of the ball. had great resources to make those personnel hires, and we felt really good about that. Alex Golish, I mean, being able to bring over all those pieces from USF, you felt really strongly about that as well. The irony being that Ryan Silverfield brought over a bunch of pieces from Memphis as well. Sutton Smith, a running back who came over from Memphis, who was here today, a guy that I'm buying more stock in, and really like just kind of the way that he came across. I think he's got a really, really fresh approach and like the things that he could do in this offense. But you get that there are real rivalries that are going on probably behind the scenes that we're not always privy to. Like these coaches that came over in the American, you're right. Like we tiered them immediately. We kind of put them in the same group in some ways, but those guys have history already. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to some of that history continuing in this conference.
Well, and some of it's inertia too, because like, okay, Byron Brown, that's the guy that beat Florida.
Yeah.
Oh man, look how we look. And then with the Memphis guys, those guys just came from Memphis. You get a bunch of Memphis bums in here. You can't win the SEC. It's like these are all American jobs, guys. Like it's all the difference in that conference, especially now, is there's no UCF, there's no Cincinnati, just wrecking people like they had. So I would say it's too early to tell.
Yeah, we are going to be joined by one JD PicKell in just a minute here, who I'm reading his credential right now, and his credential says Joshua. What in the world? Get over here. Get over here. Come on. You're free to join. We're running it back because we lost the power in our interview the other day. And JD, who is a kind soul, said, look, I'll wait here as long as you guys need. And then it got to 2:00 and we're like, look, man, just skedaddle. You're good to go. Don't worry about it. I didn't know your first name was Joshua.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's I've been JD ever since birth. Like I came home from the hospital as a baby and it was like I was JD, but I got a text from Josh Pate. What was it? I guess Monday or Sunday before coming out here. He's like, "Your real name is Joshua too?" And I was like, "Look at that. It's the best name, man. It's the best name." I said, "Who's your informant?" He goes, "The SEC League office with the credentials." I was like, "Okay."
They got feelers out for you.
Wait a minute. So, okay. Your middle name is what?
Dalton.
Okay. Dalton. Joshua.
Like Andy Dalton, which was not the namesake, but cool. Cool itself.
Joshua Dalton's a good football name. I mean, JD PicKell is a better football name.
Probably. I appreciate that.
But Joshua Dalton.
Now, okay, if we're doing the JD PicKell name thing, how do you have an uppercase letter in the middle of your name?
See, I don't know that. That was just like you just
have it.
Yeah, I remember coming home from school, like writing my name on papers in grade school. My mom was like, "You spelled your last name wrong," and I was like, "What do you like?" I'm the brightest bulb in this class, but I spelled my last name wrong. She's like, "It's a capital K." I was like, "That makes no sense." She's like, "It's just how it is." I said, "Okay." So ever since then, I was like, I guess we're capital K. I have no idea why. Idea why.
I can tell you why.
Please.
Because at some point, when your family came to the United States and got to Ellis Island, and they do all these different things at Ellis Island, like they changed my family's last name. It was originally Guerra. They added the apostrophe to show that I was Irish.
Okay.
Show that my family, they profiled. Then that was at a time when no Irish need to apply. Way too soon. Was very much a thing, and they wanted to know. They wanted to identify the Irish versus the non-Irish. With your last name, they looked at it and said, "Is it Pickle?"
Or is it still do? And people still do.
But the capital K should prevent people from doing that.
And here we are. And here we are. I'm with you. That's actually like looking at the name. You're like, yeah, it should be Kell. Like the two L's you would think would hopefully be a tip, but I mean, whether it's Pickle or PicKell, I know they're talking to me. But that's good to know. The K is the key piece to that.
Kind of want to call you Joshua.
You're more than welcome to. You're more than welcome to.
Josh Heupel famously said, "If you're juiceless, you're useless." How juiced are you feeling right now?
I feel juiced, man. I mean, sitting down with your favorite college football podcast in real life, like, how could you not be juiced? I think John Summerall said something too, where he's like, "I have bad moments. I don't have bad days." And I was like, that's sick.
That's a good quote.
I want to live that way. That's dope. So we're not having bad days anymore. We're all moment to moment, but it's all good days.
Do you guys feel a little bit of coach speak coming through in your personal life when you get there with one of these? You start kind of talk with your hands a little bit more?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, you take that home to your wife and you're like, if you're useless. She's like, what is that? What are you talking about? We have juice in the fridge. We're not juiceless. I'm like, yep. Good thing too. Otherwise we wouldn't have any utility.
Do you ever have that where you'll say something to your wife like that and she'll repeat it and not know that you came up with that?
No.
Where she's like,
I don't think I have that influence, unfortunately. I wish I had that impact and influence in my house, but usually my wife will look at me when I say something like that and she's like, I don't know how to respond to that. And you know I don't know how to respond to that. So why are you saying that? I'm like, yeah, I understand.
I once so like this happened a few months ago. Lauren, my wife, just randomly said, laziness cripples success. And I'm like, wait a minute. You just said something I've been saying for 10 years. And then she's like, no, that's a common phrase. That she does a quick Google search. Oh my God, you have rubbed off on me. And that's an all-time moment for me, just as a human being, that you repeat something back. There are a few things that have been said here this week that I want to kind of repeat back. Like when Alex Golesh is up there and he's like, I don't set goals, I set a standard. You're like,
yeah, dude. Heck yeah, dog.
That's the good stuff.
Heck yeah, dog.
You got to put some of these in your back pocket.
Yeah, like the one that I'm taking home is like, we're all going to die.
Yeah, that's what we led the show with.
Yeah, hey,
we're all gonna die.
We're all gonna die.
Shout out Hulk Hogan.
Like, this is a Chick-fil-A. What are you talking about? Like, okay, well, did I say something untrue? Spiced chicken sandwich.
And they'll say, my pleasure.
We'll say my pleasure. Yeah, more coach speak. Honestly, more coach speak from the folks at the Chick.
Yeah, seriously.
So we've had everything but two coaches. One's going on right now. Is there a team that has changed your perception of them here at Media Days?
It's a really good question. I've tried to workshop that. I think I left Alabama's day being like, we don't really talk about them that much.
Yeah.
Like, just, maybe it's a us thing, but I don't think it. I think like overall on Digital Drive, far be it from us to call it Radio Row.
Yeah.
On this strip of media outlets, like Alabama kind of feels like a under the radar-ish story, which is wild because one, it's Alabama. Two, they got a quarterback battle, but I'm like, man, I feel like we spent more time talking about Oklahoma or what LSU was going to be, and John Summerall and Pete Golding seemed like a chill hang, and all these things. And I'm like, that dude has to win a national. I think you asked the question, like that dude has got to win a national championship here sooner rather than later. And I wonder if less buzz around Bama is ultimately going to be a better thing, because I think what less buzz does, in my estimation, it gives you more opportunity as a head coach to install your messaging into your football team. And we can have a lot of gripes with Kalen DeBoer, but he has really elite messaging. And when his team takes on his personality, they are going to win football games. So I wonder now, it's a big brain way to say, I wonder now, or I think big brain way to say, I wonder if the less noise around Bama will be a massive weapon for DeBoer.
I can guarantee that when the season starts and we get away from this setting and the football games are being played, we will be talking about Bama.
Right back on First Take. Right back on Get Up.
Stephen A. Smith and Paul, they'll be yelling at each other about Bama, and there will be plenty of discussion. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm interested in kind of getting your reaction to Lane's filibuster this morning.
I thought for me, there's no vibes win for LSU this year. And Will maybe could correct me where I'm wrong here, but there's no, like for Florida, if they won 6 games, it'd be a bummer for Florida fans. But if it's like the right looking 6 and they're punching people in the mouth again and they are playing with that right temperature, like Florida fans will say, okay, wish we had more wins, but like check the box, year 1, we'll call it a maybe not a success, but we are satisfied in some ways. Same thing with Auburn. So in some ways, I kind of am just there for the Lane Kiffin show, like whatever he says, and we'll take something from it. And, I guess Hulk Hogan and we're all going to die is quite a resume of talking points. But yeah, I mean, I think what he had to say about like the landscape of college football was kind of intriguing, talking about how we should have a cap for incoming freshmen and how that parallels the NFL. Like, I think very quietly, Lane Kiffin has got a lot of really good big picture thoughts. And if he wasn't Lane Kiffin, we'd take them a lot more seriously.
Yes.
On the vibes win part, and I said this at the top too, but the vibes are he's not Brian Kelly.
Not Brian Kelly.
That's the thing. We had this really gross win against Florida last year, and afterward he's going at the media saying you were spoiled, and then that's when the beat drop happened in the season. It just imploded. You can't get worse. We're already dead. So that's the thing. We're undead now.
5 of 6 teams, I would argue, in the SEC got an instant upgrade when it comes to a vibe change with their head coach. And the one that I questioned if they got a vibe change was Arkansas, who we just talked about, Ryan Silverfield, and him having this chip on his shoulder that has not been evident. I mean, like not necessarily splashy portal moves or anything like that. It wasn't this team that hired this unbelievable staff. I think the underwhelming hire of Ron Roberts as his DC probably only added to some of the questions that we have about them. And yet he comes here, and I actually thought Ryan Silverfield handled himself like better than most coaches. Did you have that same takeaway?
I didn't get a chance to see Ryan Silverfield at the podium, but I just feel for the guy in the sense that the fan base has been very vocal about not wanting you to be the head coach. You're fired up. You got the biggest job of your life now. You're an SEC head coach, and you got to go find a way to win. No, by the way, you start out with Georgia coming on the heels of your non-conference P4 game being at Utah, and your athletic director makes you look like a whiny little baby. So, like,
yeah, that was tough.
It's just like, if I'm Ryan Silverfield, I'm like, dude, please just start the season. Like, just start the season. Let's talk about something besides the fact that y'all didn't want me here, and my AD thinks that we should have a safer, quote-unquote, schedule for the well-being of our student athletes. Like, it's just, he's the ultimate, can we please play football guy?
Dude, there's weird stuff going on with Hunter Yurachek. There's weird stuff. And I mean this from a media standpoint, like an access standpoint, like where they're putting up walls that Arkansas is not used to putting up. And I don't know if they're trying to create their own sort of vibe change with those conversations.
Yeah.
I've noticed it too, and there are conversations I've had with like local media members there that have made me think like Hunter Yurachek is trying to do this puppet master thing.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of bizarre. It's really, really weird. And I do kind of wonder if that is setting him up for failure. It's something that could be relevant in a few years here. JD, your SEC champion is who? And have we gone back and forth this week?
We've gone back and forth a little bit. And I'm trying to figure out if it is going back and forth because there is genuine reason to go back and forth, because a lot of good looking rosters. I think it's funny. People ask like, hey, who's your dark horse? And I'm like, is there even a dark horse? Because we got Georgia, Texas at the top and like a stack of 6 teams. You say they can make the playoff. Like they can win the championship if they got themselves into that game in Atlanta. To me, it's going to be really hard to say it's not Georgia. I worry about the receiver room, but at the same time, like I think when the dust settles, man, I think Gunner Stockton is as safe a bet as there is in this conference. I think that you look at the questions a year ago, it was how good is Gunner Stockton and can Georgia get back to running the football? They did both. They did answer both those questions at a super elite level. I have a hard time going against the depth of Georgia when it comes to picking a winner in this conference. So 3 in a row is super tough to do, but I think Kirby and the boys are poised to make a go at it.
3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Hold on. I'm trying to think here. Has anyone won 3 in a row in the 21st century? Because I don't think Bama did it. I could be wrong.
I'd be guessing.
Will,
guessing.
Will, can you look that one up for us? That would be a flex for Kirby. That wouldn't all of a sudden make him better than Saban or anything like that. But it would be interesting, the timing of that.
Be unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Like everybody talks about whether or not Georgia still can compete at a national championship like level at the way that they did at the start of the decade and some of the playoff losses that they've had. It doesn't feel like nothing.
3 Bama here, 2014 to 15.
Okay. That
cracked. A really sad time in my life.
I omitted
the time of hopelessness. This is what I'm talking. We're not going back here.
Yeah,
that's what we're happy about this year.
Yeah, look, I omitted 2014 from my brain just because the semifinal loss to Ohio State. That was a brain fart.
What a horrible year for Bama that year. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, golly, does Saban still have the fastball anymore?
Yeah.
You know,
Trinidad's QB1 in this conference.
Yeah.
QB2. Is it Gunner?
I'm still going Gunner, man.
Me too.
I mean, I'll give you. I think Gunner's QB1 by the end of the year. Like I believe that much in Gunner Stockton. I think also too, the thing is he doesn't fit the mold of like, first round quarterback in the NFL. He's not big. He's not fast as like some of these guys in this conference. He's not Taylor Green, but at the same time, like when the chips are stacked. In the fourth quarter and overtime, he has the best passer rating of anybody in this conference.
Yes, he does.
In addition to that, we've seen the fastball from him. Like we've seen this dude in some big moments have as many touchdowns as incompletions. The Texas game, the Ole Miss game, the first time they played, the Tennessee game where you got into a shootout with Joey Aguilar and Nealon. Like I've seen the fastball enough, and I think the second year in the system, he can tap into that more. I think it's going to be a really big Gunner Stockton year.
So he's a big high floor guy too. I think I was making this point actually when the power went out, but it's like Kirby went way outside of himself, and it's like kind of if you date a girl and it doesn't work out, you go the exact other way. Where he had this Monken like offensive innovator, he had Carson Beck, and just found the exact opposite in Bobo and Gunner, where it's just like these are two down home boys. They're not going to lose you the football. They're not going to embarrass you at dinner. And I think that's Kirby Smart football, is just mistake free and don't try to be flashy and stuff.
He's like, there's like skill player quarterbacks and lineman quarterbacks.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like in terms of just, dude, sweating through his suit, lineman quarterback.
Yeah.
Like we had him at the table, like just linemaned up, sweating through not just the suit, sweating through the jacket. Yeah, bro. But I was like, I'd follow you into a dark alley right now, Gunner Stock. Like you tell me the play, bro. We're going on the first sound. Let's roll, dude. Like my guy. You know what I'm saying?
Every comment on our video was like, how old is this guy?
Bro, we asked him, hey, what are you on social? Like, I think the question was, could you log into your social media if you have to? He's like,
I got MySpace, bro.
Yeah, right. So he goes, I'm a big Facebook Marketplace guy. He's like,
that's a little different than just Facebook guy, because there's some economic benefit to that.
Sure. I mean, it's like a 30-year difference in my mind. Like dudes who just cruise Facebook Marketplace, it's like you're what, 45, 50 years old. Like,
yeah.
He made it sound like that was his like social media app of choice. And I was
lowballing people all day.
Hilarious. Yeah.
It's looking for a hutch.
Also has an alias apparently on Facebook Marketplace. So like he pulls up and it's
really,
oh, Gunner Stockton wants to buy my fishing pole. Like that's crazy. It says here it's Jared from Athens or whoever this is. I don't know, but pretty funny stuff.
I have a dumb take, and this is going to sound like I'm gassing you up, and I promise I'm not.
I love it.
If Gunner Stockton had your hair, the conversations would be different. And you can't convince me otherwise. That man is losing his hair. And when a quarterback in college football is losing their hair, they get docked for it.
Yeah.
They 100% do. History always shows, like, find me the preseason Heisman Trophy candidates, guys that are losing their hair.
You're not supposed to lose your hair at like 21. I think that's a pretty new.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers was losing his hair at like 19.
Yeah.
The best players. And he's the best in the history of college football.
You're so right.
Does playing for Kirby cause you to lose your hair?
There you go.
Another thing.
I don't know.
No bald coach has ever won the SEC.
Okay. Now we're really cooking.
So, I'm just saying.
Now we're cooking.
I'm just saying. I told Zach Arnett that when he was hired at Mississippi State, I was like, would you grow out your hair if it meant, like, hey, the stat actually has to hold true and you need to grow out your hair in order to get Mississippi State to those levels? And he's like, well, no, I'd want to be the first. It didn't work out for Zach Arnett.
Got to go to Turkey, Zach Arnett. Gotta go check it out. You know what I'm saying?
He doesn't have hair loss issues.
Oh, it's just a by choice deal.
It's a by choice deal. He chooses the buzz cut. He's like, I don't have time to mess around with that. He then made fun of my hair because I do like, the hard part and all that stuff. And he's like, hey, we're going to get to some point where guys are just doing the hard part, like all the way across. Tebow was going pretty far across. Yeah. He doesn't do that anymore though. So I'm kind of on an island with that, but yeah, no bald coach has won the SEC, the SEC championship.
So that eliminates Clark Lee.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that it? Who else am I missing that's bald in the SEC?
That right now,
Elko's losing it a little bit, but I mean, he's not gone. He's not gone yet.
I think Elko would have, if Elko won the SEC. Yeah, if Elko or DeBoer won the SEC with their, I don't want to call them let's just call them looks. Let's call them looks.
Status.
Yeah, their status. I think they would have the least amount of hair of any coach who's won the SEC championship.
Trailblazers, dude.
There you go. That's innovation.
I'm just saying. Anyway, boldest take about this conference that you've been sitting on. Last year, we were in unison. Our LSU national championship pick, it worked out horribly.
What a ride, though.
And worse for me than you guys. That's the best part. I had to experience. You guys are like, oh.
I put us down as did not finish there. But DNF on the take, not a loss.
We should have been able to bail on that the second we heard not Gunner. We've been talking a lot of Gunner Stockton. The second that we heard Garrett Nussmeier got hurt.
Agreed.
We should have been able to bail and just hedge and go, you know what? New national champ. Obviously, Indiana would have been the pick. So we'll just pretend that would have happened. But something that you've looked at and you've thought about all offseason, you're like, man, I'm on an island. This is the thing I'm defending.
So as someone who's an avid listener of the show, I know this will not be popular. I am not sold on Ole Miss recreating the magic of last year. I fall a lot closer to them being 8-4 than 10-2, 11-1. I love Trinidad. I love Keyone. I think Pete Golding would be a phenomenal hang. I think he's actually going to have success at Ole Miss long term. But they had so many one-score games break their way, and the run defense was just so subpar last year. I worry about that formula being recreated here another year in the saddle for the boys in Oxford. So it's not maybe popular on our Ole Miss on 3 board, which, ball up top. But That I think is about as bold as I have to offer here.
We're gonna text Ben Garrett right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
He'll hunt you down.
Oh my gosh, I know.
No, but the craziest quote I've heard of this rivalry, believe it or not, was they were asking Trinidad yesterday what's changed, and he was like, "Nothing, man. The meetings are still the same names. They're still at the same times. The exact practice schedule is the same."
Interesting.
And I would be the guy who would think in year 2 or 3 that would kind of start to where you got to run your own program. I think you can probably keep it together a year or 2, but it was kind of filed that away for like this is still kind of Lane's system.
So I don't want to make this comparison because of what happened afterwards, but I will just say like Sharon Moore, Jim Harbaugh. You know, like now you can't say Sharon Moore's name without there being just like Pandora's box open there. But just from a football perspective, it felt like that was sort of the same approach, which, I mean, Michigan still ended up beating Ohio State his first year on the job. So, how bad was it really? But I sort of regret going that direction, to be honest with you boys. But
counterpoint,
please.
Ryan Day, Urban Meyer.
Ryan Day, Urban Meyer, for sure.
Usually it doesn't work out though.
Sure.
That's like the only example I can really.
But yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, and you also got Trinidad Chambliss. Like, there's it's not unfathomable to think they could recreate it. But if I had to fade someone right now, it'd be Ole Miss.
I think that's fair. I do. Even as I sit here, very much impressed with how Ole Miss came across this week, and as someone that has banged the drum for them all offseason, I think that is perfectly fair. JD, PicKell. We need like Joshua Dalton PicKell. We need like an accent over the K as well.
Yeah.
Just to add like an Enye maybe.
Ooh.
Just to add even more attention to the K.
I'm here for it.
Oh, love it. Glad that we were able to make this work and not have the power go out mid-interview.
So fun. I love this, dude.
I'm sure we'll have you on at some point during the season. Thanks, man.
Dude, appreciate the heck out of you guys. You guys do, again, not just saying this because we're on the air. Like I've told y'all both separately. My favorite college football podcast. Y'all do such a great job. It's a blast.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Be in my ears on the way home.
Thank you,
Big
man.
good deal.
Man. 4 hours of content. JD.
Boom.
You're the best. Thanks, man. All right. Well, that's a wrap. SEC Media Days brought to you by Culver's. Welcome to Delicious. By the time that you will be hearing us next, I will have already consumed several Butterburgers. I will have probably down many a concrete.
Connor, you're going to look in that lake in Wisconsin. You're like, is that the Loch Ness Monster? No, it's going to be Will swimming for that concrete.
Amen. Amen. That very, very big Lake Michigan. It's so big. But yes, we have really, really loved the opportunity to get to follow up the next round guys and being able to do this. We hope that you have enjoyed our coverage. Great guests that we've had all week. Thank you to all of our great guests. Thank you to Culver's once again for being able to do this. We have something very fun coming up that we've already recorded this. Maybe not for the Bama fans listening to this. It just meant more. We're coming back next week, 2022, Bama, Tennessee. Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker, Tennessee's first win against Bama since Saban had been there. I know. Brooks behind the camera's giving us a big old thumbs down with that one.
They can have one as a treat,
Yeah. We had a lot of fun recording this, so that will be coming out next week. And then right after that, we're very, very close to 2 episodes a week. I know we did 4 live shows this week, but we're here, man.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Season, brother.
Can't wait. Follow on social media. If you're not already subscribed to the next round on YouTube, just click that subscribe button. I promise we're going to have so much great stuff during the season as well. We have a lot of fun things that we're going to be doing on the OG Kickoff, so please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, guys. Talk soon.